I strongly support President Trump's efforts and voted for the fiscal year 2025 budget reconciliation effort in the House. I will be opposing this committee's bill today. I gave this committee prior heads up prior to this markup of my opposition to this bill and sought changes to this bill. I do not believe that this bill represents Republican values, and I don't believe that it represents American values. I believe that making changes to pension retirement benefits in the middle of someone's employment is wrong.
I actually just wanted to say that I agree. Something that I very rarely have an opportunity to do on this committee. And I actually want to applaud the Congressman Turner, for laying this out in a very plain way that is not about partisanship, that is simply about right versus wrong. And I think as we go through reconciliation as a whole, we should be looking at what is right, and it should not be about what somebody told us we had to do. It should be about listening to our constituents and doing what is fair and just. I think that that is who we are supposed to be in the House. We are supposed to look after the people that elected us and just do right by Americans.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and a Republican stood up for workers' pensions, and Jasmine Crockett applauded. But don't get it twisted. This isn't a redemption story. It's a reckoning.
Changing the rules, especially when someone has already been vested in their benefits, is wrong. Employee benefits are not a gift. They are earned. When someone goes to work every day, what they believe that they're earning includes the benefits, both that they earn in their wages, but also the benefits that they are told that they are receiving. I have fought to try to get the Delphi salary retirees pension benefits restored that were taken away from them during the Obama administration. And I'm not going to fight to have one group's pension benefits restored and then vote to take away another group's pension benefits.
Congressman Mike Turner voted for the budget blueprint that set the table for gutting pensions. But now, in a rare twist, he's opposing the specific provision that would strip benefits from vested workers midstream. That alone is enough to make headlines. But what turned this into a full-blown moment was Jasmine Crockett stepping up, not just to applaud Turner, but to draw a moral line between one flicker of GOP backbone and the deafening silence from the rest.
I understand the need for reform, and certainly we can have changes that occur in benefits for new hires. We can certainly look prospectively, but I do think that for current employees to change the rules for people in the middle of the game is wrong. I have talked to enough people on the House floor that I do think that this will not be included in the final bill, and that this bill ultimately will have to be changed if it's going to be included in the ultimate budget reconciliation. So I will be voting no, and I certainly hope that that this process, as it goes through, will be changed, because I do not think that it is fair and it represents either Republican values or American values. I think that we as a party stand up for pensions, and I don't think that we should say to the American public that we will change someone's pension in the middle of the process of their employment. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair recognizes okay, Ms. Crockett, then Ms. Luna's next.
I actually just wanted to say that I agree. I very rarely get an opportunity to agree with someone from across the aisle in this committee. I just wanted to say that I absolutely agree, and it's not just agreeing, I agree for the same reasons. A lot of times when you see no votes on the floor, sometimes it's for completely different reasons. But this is about fairness and about doing what's right for people, and I think that we all on this committee should take a step back. And as we go through this budget process, we should absolutely think about what is right to do for the people. So thank you so much, Congressman Turner, for eloquently laying this out, and I will yield.
In committee rooms, Republicans sit in silence, refusing to defend their own proposals. Behind closed doors, they admit the tariffs and cuts are damaging, but in public, they follow orders. Turner may have taken the first step towards a political amends, but his party remains drunk on Reaganomics, trickle-down lies, and blind loyalty to Trump's economic chaos. Crockett's applause isn't praise, it's a challenge. The question now is, will any of them wake up?
Do you think the president will get what he wants here from Republicans? I mean, what is your sense of watching your colleagues across
It seems
the
like
aisle?
they do whatever he wants them to do at all times, right? Like behind closed doors, they will talk about how these things are crazy. You can find plenty of Republicans that will tell you that these tariffs are a problem. They will tell you that, and they know that it's a problem. This is why they don't want to go out and listen to their constituents by having town halls. This is exactly why, if you tune in and watch any of these hearings, when it comes down to marking up these bills where these cuts are supposed to be, you know who won't even defend them? The Republicans. We sat in hours and hours and hours of in listening to amendments as we were going through the markups. And every time we started calling out specific Republicans and said, Congressman such and such, what do you think? And they literally were silent. It was almost like they were told, don't say anything because we can't win. We just have to vote down these common sense amendments and get through this because this is what we've been told to do.
Ronald Reagan sold this country a lie with an economic theory pushed in the 1980s that claimed cutting taxes, especially for the rich, would magically increase government revenue. The Laffer curve was the economic version of a Nigerian prince email. Too good to be true, and somehow people still fall for it. He basically swapped your pension for a 401k casino and called it freedom. The sad part? Nobody's laughing today. Now the GOP wants to finish what he started, ripping away retirement security under the guise of reform. So yeah, maybe one Republican cracked a window open, but until the rest of them stop hiding behind closed doors and start voting like Americans deserve a future, this isn't a comeback story. It's a funeral for the working class. And we're done handing out forgiveness for free. And let's be clear, this wasn't some brave stand made in the heat of battle. Mike Turner didn't stumble into the conflict as a wide-eyed outsider. He voted for the very budget reconciliation framework that made these pension rollbacks possible. That was the blueprint, the skeleton, the infrastructure of destruction. And now that the wrecking ball is swinging a little too close to home, he's suddenly concerned. But here's what makes it complicated. He's not wrong. Turner's statement point out that cutting retirement benefits for vested employees mid-career is immoral. It's completely true, though. It is wrong. It's unfair. And in today's Republican Party, where loyalty to Trump's agenda outweighs loyalty to the American worker, saying that out loud is rare. That's why it matters. This is what many could call step one, the admission of guilt, the realization of a problem, the political equivalent of waking up hungover, piecing together the damage, and asking, what did I do? It's a start, but it's not a solution. Because if Turner truly wants to make it right, he's got to go beyond speeches. He's got to fight against the machine he helped build. That means standing up again and again, not just once. It means writing legislation, holding the line, and refusing to let Reaganomics rot this country further. It means living amends, not just saying I'm sorry, but proving it over and over again. Otherwise, this is just political rehab theater, and we're not buying it. And if Turner's weak attempt at redemption is political rehab, then what the rest of the Republican Party is doing looks a lot more like willful denial. Because while Turner at least spoke up, his colleagues have mastered the art of silence. According to Jasmine Crockett, these lawmakers know exactly how bad this bill is. Behind closed doors, they'll admit it. They'll whisper about how the tariffs are wrecking the economy, how the pension cuts are a disaster, how none of this holds up with their voters. But when it's time to speak up publicly, nothing. Crickets. Crockett laid it all out. How in hours and hours of committee markups, amendment debates, and budget talks, Republican members said absolutely nothing. She and others would call on them directly, "What do you think?" And the response was silence. Not disagreement, not pushback, just blank stares and shut mouths, like someone told them, don't engage, just vote it down and keep moving. That's not leadership. That's blind obedience to a tyrant. And while we're here, let's talk about those town halls. You know, the ones Republican reps used to hold before they realized facing their constituents meant answering hard questions. Because here's the truth. If any of them stood in a room full of working class Americans and explained their remorse about policies they've pushed and vowed to do better, they may get a completely different reaction than what they're currently getting. So yes, one Republican said the quiet part out loud. One Republican took a small step away from the wreckage his party has created. And Jasmine Crockett gave him a nod. Not to validate the GOP, but to hold up a mirror. This wasn't a bipartisan kumbaya, it was a test, and the rest of the Republican Party failed it. Because the truth is, one decent vote doesn't erase decades of economic sabotage. One speech doesn't undo Reaganomics. One flicker of conscience doesn't bring back what's been stolen from working Americans over 40 years of corporate worship and tax giveaways. If Republicans like Mike Turner want to be taken seriously, they've got to do more than break ranks once. They've got to stay broken and start building something better. Until then, don't expect applause for waking up late. Don't expect forgiveness for damage you won't fix. And don't confuse a moment of clarity with a mandate. You helped light the fire. Now either put up or shut up. So here is the bottom line. Turner cracked the window, but the house is still burning. One decent vote doesn't erase decades of betrayal. If the GOP wants redemption, they better come with water, not just words, because this isn't about second chances. It's about survival. The working class is done waiting for heroes, and that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.